Looch on ice, we break it down each week. Puck drops hard, hear the fans all scream. From the highlight reels, we catch every peak. In the fast lane, we live the hockey dream. Stick handling magic, every move's a skill. Looch on ice, we got the weekly scoop. From power plays to the hardest hits in the Looch on the ride. Feel that action, no excuse. NHL roundup with a hockey news crew. Goals and assists, the numbers never lie. From golden gloves to the rivalries that fly. On ice battles, real grit and we pride. With Looch on the mic, we rise to the sky. Every play's electric, they give us a thrill. Looch on ice, we got the weekly scoop. From power plays to the hardest hits in the Looch on the ride. Feel that action, no excuse. NHL roundup with a hockey news crew. The numbers never lie. From golden gloves to the rivalries that fly. On ice battles, real grit and we pride. With Looch on the mic, we rise to the sky. Every play's electric, they give us a thrill. Looch on ice, we got the weekly scoop. From power plays to the hardest hits in the Looch on the ride. Feel that action, no excuse. NHL roundup with a hockey news crew. So lace up tight, let's roll with the fight. Looch on ice, hockey vibes feeling right.
Hey, there he is, the Looch.
Hey, what's happening? We are back.
We
not
are.
on a night, not on a night that we usually do, but a lot of stuff going on.
Really?
And,
What's going
decided-
around New York City right now? I don't.
Yeah,
Something happening? I see
yeah.
a lot of people come up on my feed on my feed on Facebook, like celebrating and stuff. I mean, what's going? Like, did I miss something?
Yeah, sure. We got
Anyway,
some-
congratulations to the Knicks fans out there.
right, 100%.
I am not a big basketball guy or follow it. I follow it. I don't watch it a lot. I'm not a passionate Knicks fan, but I was this run because I wanted to see my friends, close friends who had never won. So, but we have time to get back to that. Or is that where you want to start?
So it reeled you in. They threw the fishing rod out and reeled you into the Knicks. Huh? Me too, man. I agree. That's I started watching a few games. My stepfather's into the Knicks, big Knicks fan, and he says you got to watch it. And then my mom's telling me you got to watch it. You got to watch the Knicks. It's exciting. I'm like, basketball. I'm like, I watch hockey. Listen, I watch hockey. The Stanley Cup's going on right now, but once I watched a couple of the games, I said, oh man, maybe the Knicks making their comebacks and just a unbelievable story. I mean, they haven't won in a long time either. They're like the 1940 Rangers, when the Rangers were, had that dry run since 1940.
Well, I never thought anything would be as big as the Rangers winning, but this is equaled it. I mean, we're 53 years now, right? And basketball is much more popular in New York City than hockey is. That's just a fact around the country. So it really caught hold. I was, my friend Steve Herbie, shout out to him if you're out there listening, is one of my closest friends, and he's a Knick, Jet, and Met fan, right? Imagine that. So, and he's a huge Knick fan. He's a ticket holder. He worked for the NBA for a long time. He's a president of the head of NBA TV. Worked closely with David Stern, Alan Silver, yada yada yada. So, big Knick fan, and it's been nothing but heartbreak. And I said to him today, we had a three-way text, me, him, my friend Pat. We text every day, but I said to him today, I'm happy for you, and it's been your whole life, really. So I guess maybe he's a Knicks fan since he was 10, so it's 43 years. When the Rangers won the Cup in '94, right, I felt like, oh, God, I'm so relieved. I've suffered through this so long, That was like, so I started watching the Rangers when I was 7, maybe. By '94, you're talking about 17 years as a fan, and I'm tortured. And I said, Herbie, I'm almost ashamed of myself now because you suffered for 43 years. Like,
Right.
I complained back then. So anyway, congrats to the Knicks fans. Rick Brunson.
Jalen Brunson.
Jalen Brunson is a certified
Oh,
New York legend now. He added to the legends the last couple of nights with all those big shots and 45 points last night. God bless him. He's an underdog kid who's a second round pick. Nobody gave any thought to he'd be this good. And the Knicks were mocked when they signed him. Said that guy is too small and not good enough to be the guy who's going to lead you to a championship. Well, how do they like him now, right?
Yeah. So you're admitting that you stayed up last night and watched the game, then?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. Me too.
Now, here's something I don't like. I wasn't going to admit, except to Pat and Herbie and my son. I wanted them to win so badly for Herbie, right? And other Knicks fans, that when they were down 25 in the first half, I had to turn it off, Looch. I couldn't watch it. I was too uptight. And I started thinking, oh, man, if they lose, they're going to lose this game, and then they're going to blow the series. And, oh, the poor Knicks fans, my poor friend Herbie, this is not supposed to happen, right?
Yeah.
So I turned it off. I would check it on my phone. My son was at his friend's house. He's texting me every once in a while. And I really thought they were going to lose. And I have to admit that. Even as many times as they come back, as good as they've been, I thought they just, and I couldn't watch it. And but I kept saying to myself, maybe you're wrong. They've come back all the time. They could come back from this. And even if they lose this game, then that's certain to lose the series. And this team is special. That's why I didn't think this was going to happen. So, but my worst angel, the devil and the,
Yeah.
kept telling me, no, they're going to lose, Jeff. They're going to lose. They're going to lose. They're going to taunting me,
Yep.
So I'm checking my phone and, the last couple of minutes, I put it on to watch the last couple of minutes. And I don't want to say what I'm going to say on here. I shouldn't say that, but I watched it, and I was telling them the next day, and they said, when did you become such a pussy? That you can't want. I'm like, I know. It's old age, I guess,
Yeah,
so,
right.
Yeah.
I was watching that game where they were losing, the last game, not this final game. The game before, when they were losing, I think it was 29 points they came back from, and I was watching the first half. I'm like, oh man, it's too good to be true. They're not gonna pull off this game. And I got into something else, and then later on, I'm like, let me check out the Knicks, see where the score's at, and I'm like, man, they're getting closer now. It's like the fourth whatever it is, quarter, I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, they're coming back now. I'm like, oh man, I got to watch the rest of the game. Sure enough, they win it. I'm like, look at this. I'm like, geez, then it really got me. I'm like, now I got to watch the Knicks. I got to watch to see what they do. I mean, I'm not a big basketball fan, like I said, and I found myself backing off of the NHL because I was so into the Knicks. I'm like, it just felt more exciting, if Colorado was in the Stanley Cup and it was the Hurricanes, I'd be more, I don't know, more immersed into the Stanley Cup. But I found myself backing off of it because the Knicks and the Rangers, kind of that relationship that they have, with Dolan, and we've discussed it before. Hopefully,
which, by the way, let me interrupt you. You can say Dolan's still an asshole and a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Right. I saw him talking last night, and I'm like, oh God, hopefully, he's setting his sights on the Rangers a little bit. Maybe, this will be like what do you call it? Oh God, I'm trying to think of it.
He's gonna die.
Yeah.
Die 'cause,
Yeah. No, like in disguise.
Maybe you're trying to say that it's going to give him more confidence, and
he
won't be so quick to meddle and so desperate to win.
Right. Yeah. Maybe he'll make some moves, right? Knowing that one of his teams is good, and he wants to, make another team, a championship, give another team a championship. I mean, it's been since '94 with the Rangers, so I think we're overdue. I think the Rangers are due at least to get into a good playoff position and go deep into the playoffs. Give the Rangers something to Ranger fans something to look forward to. At least make some changes. I mean, we
Well,
made some changes, but I don't think it was enough. It just didn't seem like enough. I mean, our fifth round pick this year, is it going to be really enough? It's going to be a stepping stone to how many years? Do you know what I mean? Like the next 5 years? Do we got to wait another 5 years, or are we going to make some trades and like hopefully get that key player or that one guy that helps turn it around a little bit, get the other players going? A JT Miller, or Lafreniere, and some of the new kids that are looking pretty good. Mika had a good season this year. Like, is it gonna? Uh, we need that one or two other good players. I think that's about where we're at. I don't think there's a whole lot we can do. I think Shesterkin's going to be good in goal. He's could be a Stanley Cup guy. Hopefully in the future if he gets some help in the back, in the back end, and we need a couple of them good forwards. Some key forwards to top six guys, and
well,
hopefully Dolan can make that happen, or Drury can make it happen.
couple things. I don't. Well, first of all, let's say this about Dolan. The guy famously went 7 years without giving an interview when the Knicks were awful, whatever. Now all of a sudden, you can't shut him up.
Right.
He's in front of every camera now, thinking about to win a championship, and he admitted, that he was a part of the Tibbs firing, which they denied. Now all of a sudden, he's taking credit for it. That's a jackass. Anyway, hopefully, what he's learned from this is patience. Now, I know we've talked about this a million times. A lot of fans don't like Drury. I'm not saying they're wrong. I don't agree with them. I don't think he's done enough where he should get fired. And maybe, being patient, it'll pay off. It did with Sather, right? So that's that. But the lesson, hopefully Dolan learned from this is to stay out of it. Don't.
Right.
It takes time. And look, I know as a Ranger fan, you and I both I feel the same way. 5 years, man.
Yeah.
We're gonna wait to win another cup, but that's the reality. There's no,
Right.
You're not gonna win if you don't go that route, right? Maybe you
Right.
get lucky and hit lightning in a bottle or the lottery and you win. But the mindset has to be, yeah, it's gonna take if that's what it takes. Because listen, they tried it the other way for 100 years and it doesn't work. And they had to retool, as they say. So yeah, it's with the exception of Vegas, which is an anomaly. Look at Florida, look at Carolina, look at Montreal, right? Even Colorado. Yeah, Colorado got McKinnon and McCarr at the first and fourth pick
Right.
overall. So, it's going to take time, and that's a fact. Though I do agree with you, if things break right for them, they're not as far away as it seems. Right? They got
Right.
Chesty, they got Fox. We'll see if Miller and we'll see about him. I think he still has something to offer. Mika, let's hope that was just he's 33 years old. Let's hope it wasn't just a bounce back year and he had a good he's just putting off the
Right.
inevitable. Laffy and we've talked about this. Laffy and Perot's going to be really good. Laffy looks like he's coming into his own. Which, by the way, I've looked up a bunch of players like the Sedin twins example. It was around 25 that they started hitting a 90-point, 100-point seasons. So it's not that much of an anomaly for Laffy.
Yeah.
They got the 5th overall pick, right? That kid's not, whoever that is, he's not going to come in and help right away, but he could be a significant player. They got the 26th pick. They got Greentree. They got Spence. It's going to take a little time. So if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. But
Right.
at the same time, there's no guy out there. There's no Messier out there that you could trade for that's going to change things overnight. Even Austin Matthews wouldn't do that. Kachuk's not going to do that. You got to build methodically. You got to build slow. And if they have a lot of cap room this year. There's been a lot of discussion about Alex Took and things like that. Well, you can't blow your cap room or even blow your assets to make a trade to get better. And you got to get the guy, you know. And if that means he's not available, you wait and you keep your assets and you keep your salary, salary cap. You keep your sheet clean, and it sucks, right? It does. It sucks.
Yeah.
I hate thinking about it's going to be another 5 years, whatever. But there's no easy fixes, you know.
Yeah, that's you know, to hear. I didn't even remember. I forgot about Greentree and Spence, but who knows? Maybe Drury's got it, and Dolan have it in their head like we're going to bring these guys up in the during the season and have them jump into the lineup. Maybe they see something that we're not seeing down in wherever they're playing, Hartford or wherever they're playing, and they're ready to bring them up at a certain point in the season next year. Or I don't know if they're there yet. Maybe you can elaborate on that, or I don't know if you know or not, but
I follow the prospects. I follow that more than anything.
Right.
There's no significant prospect in the system right now that's going to come up and be the equal or better than Gabe Perreault, right? We've talked about this a lot. The strength in the Rangers system is in the bottom six, right? We saw that there. Schlemmer, Sikora. We have Edstrom and Rempe. Brett Berard, who apparently they're going to trade. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
Robertson. But there's no stud. The only hope is, Nathan Aspinall, who was a fourth-round pick a couple of years ago, who had like a 30, 35-point season. They played in the OHL, the WHL 3 years ago when the Rangers drafted him. He was 6'7", another big body. You looked at him, okay, he could skate a little bit, got, decent hands. Maybe, he'd be turned into a good third, fourth liner like Laba did or Cooley. Well, this year he broke out. He was, I think second or third in the league in scoring. He was one of the finalists for the MVP, carried his Flint team. He was absolutely off the charts, phenomenal. And according to a scout I read, he improved his shot, he improved his skating. Now, does that mean he improved it enough where he's going to be a marginal, middle six, prospect or player? Or have we got ourselves a, dare I say, a Braden Point or, Hagel or somebody like that who, all of a sudden is now a big point producer? That's what you can hope for. Spence, right. Greentree, they're lottery tickets, but they're probably more likely going to be really good players, So the Rangers got all that. They need that strength down the middle. They need that dynamic center, and it's not Dylan Larkin, which is what I mean about going out. Not that they're going to be in the mix for him, but he's not the guy. He doesn't want to come here anyway, which is good because he can't be tempted. So they have the makings of a very good team, but they need the play drivers, and they don't have that.
Yeah.
And look, we've been also, when it comes to Mika, we've been down this road before, right? We know he's not a number one center that's going to win you a Stanley Cup. He's just not, Yeah. Great player for us. What a great trade by Gorton. But if you're going to win Mika Zibanejad is a great number two center on a cup winner. He's not a number one,
Yep.
So Miller is a little concerned with him. He's getting old. But he's going to have a bounce. If he has a bounce back year next year, Mika continues to do what he's doing. Don't forget, people forget that Fox missed 27 games, and you look at their record. So, all hope is not lost.
Miller started the season out hurt. Miller started the season out hurt, and then I think he got hurt again later on. I think he came back for a little bit, and then he got hurt again. I think he was, maybe out a couple games or something. If I'm not mistaken. So he could have been playing hurt. He could have been, taking a little bit of a back seat, not wanting to get hurt for the rest of the season. Some of these guys probably do that, I'm sure. If they would have made the playoffs, then he would have, maybe you would have saw a different JT Miller. But
I think we would have, and I think we still will.
Yeah, right.
So, the it's talked a lot about in hockey, especially with Florida. They're hard to play against. Well, in Florida's case, they're a big, heavy team, and they wear you down. But the Edmonton Oilers, the '85 Oilers, were hard to play against, right? Gretzky, Lemieux, so you could be hard to play against. Like Nathan McKinnon is hard to play against. Cal McCarr, right? So if Laffy and Perreault become what we think they are, and I think they will, and then you put, a rejuvenated JT Miller between them, or you get yourself a dynamic center. Now you got a line that's hard to play against. When we played Florida 2 years ago, we're never going to match up with them physically because we're not that type of team. But we weren't hard to play. The only guy who was hard to play against really in that series, remember, was Laffy because he's so skilled and talented. You could beat, you could beat those teams like Florida, but you have to have some skill. That's hard to play against too. So Shesty's hard to play against. Fox, whatever. So they're not as far away as we fear if they do it right, and we'll see if Drury can. But you got to take the mindset it's going to take 5 years, but who knows? And don't forget, the guy behind the bench, right? That guy gives us an edge, especially come playoff time, right? And how to develop a team. They're going to bring in. That's the other thing. That Brogan and Robertson are fifth or sixth defenseman, right? Fortescue, fifth or sixth defenseman.
Right.
Emery, fifth or sixth defenseman. Anybody else in the minors? They're bottom pair. The Rangers got to get that middle pair taken care of. Schneider was supposed to be that guy. He's not. He probably should be traded if they get the right deal. Will be traded because, well, let me step back. If you listen to the pundits and the hockey people, right shot young defensemen are in demand. Everybody wants one. Oh shit! Come on, he's not good enough.
Yeah.
But maybe they're right. If they're right, hey, the Rangers get a significant return. They go out and maybe they trade for Bowen Byram. Maybe they sign a middle pair guy, and maybe they acquire one, and then there's been talk about Mario Ferrara from the Sharks. So he's going to be a free agent, and you let Sullivan do the rest. And if Sullivan was behind the bench 2 years ago and not Lavalette, first of all, the team might have looked different, but they would have played differently, right? So reading a lot about Lavalette, who I supported him hiring, I think he's a good coach, but his system, he doesn't adjust to his players. The players have to play the way he wants them to play, right? It's his defense, and you have to be a skater. You have to have some speed. You got to be able to join the play, step up in the neutral zone, and the Rangers didn't have those type of players, so they were a bad fit for his system. But that happens sometimes. You get a coach in and they need the players for his system. But if Sully was here, I think they would have been more disciplined. They would have been, better defensively. And who knows? Maybe they beat Florida. It aggravates me. What aggravates me about Carolina, though, is that this Carolina team is not much better than that Ranger team 2 years ago.
I know.
I did not think Carolina could do this and win a cup because I didn't think they had the top six, just like the Rangers didn't. But you know what? Everything's broke their way. What they are good at is Brind'Amour. I joke about him all the time, but he's a great defensive coach. They have a system, and they have players that fit that system. Look at Andre Miller. Right? People are now killing the Rangers for trading him. He's a product of that system. Right? I remember hearing all this about Brady Shea. Oh, Brady Shea. They signed a big contract in Nashville. What's he doing now? He's terrible. If they could do it over, they would do it over in a second.
Yeah.
But they have a system that they play very well. They got the players that fit it, and things broke their way. Right? They were not beating Florida. Come on, we know that would happen. They got swept 2 years in a row. They probably wouldn't have beat Tampa. Everything went their way.
Yeah.
The finals has been impressive. They're better than I gave them credit for. But let's be honest here, right? This series, if Carter Hart played marginally better, this wouldn't be where it is right now.
Right.
He's been awful. First goaltender in history to give up at least 4 goals in the first 5 games of a Stanley Cup Finals. Been awful,
Yeah.
awful. You know,
Yeah.
they're not this good, but they might win a cup, and that's what aggravates me because you know what? They weren't that much better than the Rangers, or if at all, the Rangers Cup team 2 years ago.
And not seeing much production from Eichel either over there in Vegas. 2 goals
Good old
in the playoffs. I mean, 20. He got 20 assists, but he's more of a playmaker, I guess, than he's a goal scorer right now, especially in the playoffs. You know, you
And the
need a
Russian
guy
kid
like
doesn't have a goal, right, in the finals?
Dorofeyev. Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah.
Dorofeyev scored. He just scored. In the last game, he had 2 goals, but they still lost.
Yeah, too
He
little,
still
too
lost
late.
4-2. He had the only 2 goals in the game, game 6 or game
Well, you know what?
5.
The great Gretzky Howden kind of slowed down too, right?
Oh my God! Yeah, I was just
You know
looking
what?
at his. He's leading the team in goals. 14 goals he's got.
Let's
He's
talk
ahead of
about him for a second.
Yeah, he's ahead of Dorofeyev and Marner. You know, I mean, geez, it's
So
crazy.
let's talk about him for a second because you and I have like thrown our hands up about the Rangers. Like, you know.
Yeah.
I read a post on Blue Sleep Blogs, which you know I have a love-hate relationship with them. You know, because they're idiots at times, but they every once in a while they write something productive, and you know, they know what they're talking about, but they contradict themselves. They do too much into analytics. But anyway, they're not Drury fans. They think Drury should be fired, and they wrote a post the other day that I think the headline of it was the Rangers, you know, did not make the Rangers were not wrong to trade Howden. And basically what they said was all these same people and these fans, this is typical Ranger fans, right? That are comments, all you people couldn't wait to get rid of him. He was terrible. He was awful. He was taken. And the numbers showed it. He did nothing with the Rangers, right? Now these same people are saying, oh, we should have never traded him. You know, he's an okay player, right? He's 12 goals in the playoffs. He's gotten hot. You know, he's a good third, fourth line player, but like he's not going to make a difference. It's not a guy that's going to make a difference in whether or not we win a Stanley Cup. So and he was terrible here, terrible. So they weren't wrong to trade him. So you know sometimes it works out for a guy. You know, look at Karte that we got from Seattle. Who saw that coming?
You mentioned Andrea Miller, like you know, he just needed a new atmosphere, a new team, a new dynamic, you know, and he just and he'll be good. He'll be good in friggin'.
I trade him again if I could. Just, right. So you know, this is how, but people, I would trade him again if I could.
Exactly. Right.
He wasn't good. He's not that good. He's a product of that system, right? And good for him. I wish the guy well. I hope he wins the Stanley Cup, and good for him. He's a good guy. Whatever. You know, I don't bad for anybody, but he's not. He wouldn't be doing this with us. He's a product of that system, and good for Carolina. You know, because they went out and got him. He's fit the system well. He's played well. But send him to I don't know any other team. He wouldn't be as as good. So, and that happened. You can't regret it. I think they got a good. Plus, you'd be paying him $8-9 million a year, right? I think they got a good return for him, and we'll see what the Rangers do with it.
Yeah, we need the Rangers to get something.
By the way, the guy who wrote that post on Blue Sea Blogs hates Drury and has been hoping he's getting fired for a year now. So if he can say it, right? But go ahead. Sorry.
We need the Rangers need to get a guy like that, where they get him from another team who's not, he's not clicking with their team, and then all of a sudden he comes over to the Rangers, and the Rangers fit it. He fits into the Rangers system, whatever that is. Whatever the Rangers system is, I don't even know what it is at this point. Hopefully they have some kind of a decent system. I mean, I know Sullivan's probably got a good system, but he's got to get those right players in that system. So,
well, Gavrikov was great in LA.
Yes.
He was one of probably the top defenseman. They signed him at a great contract. So now they got a top pair that's really, could be one of the best in the league. Gotcha. And if you look at Pittsburgh, you look at Sullivan, he has a history of taking guys like Dumoulin and what's his name, Matt. There's a bunch of guys he took, and he's got a history of taking, marginal guys. What's his name? The guy, Derek Pouliot, Matt Nichushkin, and winning a cup with them, right? Like those guys are out there, right? Morgan is hopefully going to be that guy. but he's more of a third pair guy. But
Yeah.
yeah, you know, listen, what I hope Jory could do is make another trade, and I think this is what they should do, like Groton made with Mika, right? Um, they had gotten fed up or tired of waiting for him to break out in Ottawa, and they traded him for Derek Brassard, big game Brassard, and among others, and got a second round pick in the deal. And but
Right.
he had been in the league 5-6 years, hadn't really broken out. Rangers got a boom, he broke out. Gorton also traded Ryan Spooner, who was a ham and egger, for Strome, who had a couple of great years for us. That's hopefully what the Rangers, Kent Johnson, maybe Mason McTavish, right? Ben Wright, those guys out there, young players who, were high picks, or they had some little bit of success. Like Johnson had 57 points a couple of years ago, that have the talent and the ability, and hopefully you could get one of those guys. And the next thing you know, you got a bona fide, center, top six center. That's where I'd put my focus if I was them.
All right. Now you were talking. We'll go back to I think you mentioned Berard with the Rangers, uh, being involved in a trade. I think I heard that also.
Oh, what I said?
Yeah, with the Berard, with Berard. Berard.
Berard. Oh, Berard. Yeah. Oh, I did mean Brassard. Yeah. So Kevin Weeks, who's on TSN, the big Canadian hockey sports show, and an insider said that Brett Berard's going to be traded by the Rangers, and it makes sense. He didn't have a great year last year with the Rangers or at the AHL. They have all these this bottom. They got Laba, they got Schlemmer, they got Cooley, and they got Edstrom, and they got Rohrbrook in the minors, and they got Carte. So there's really Sikora and Schlemmer surpassed him by the way they played at the end of the year. He's small, so Sikora.
Yeah.
I think there's a place in the NHL for Berard, but he's out of options. So the Rangers can't just send him down. And if they expose him to waivers, if he doesn't make the team, somebody's going to claim him. So I think they're going to try and trade him now and see what they can get for him. And because they just have a glut of those type of forwards. There's not room for all of them,
Right.
And Sherry played really well last year, and he's a Sully guy, so they're probably going to bring him back,
Oh, Connor Sherry. Yeah. I got you. All right. So we dived into the Rangers and some of that trade talk, and hopefully, the next couple of weeks we'll see what they can pull off around the draft, and I'm definitely looking forward to that. To see what happens. I mean,
some of these young guys that, like I said, like McTavish or Ken Johnson, maybe they could get one of those guys. They're going to trade Trocheck, hopefully. And again, everybody's speculating the Rangers should get this, and this, whatever that is, and basically a current player who's beyond the NHL roster, young and good, a top prospect, and the number one pick. Who knows? Who knows? That's for speculation. I think, they get something significant from it. Just depends on who and where. There's talk about Toronto now. Supposedly Toronto's backed off, but I don't believe that. If they get Matthew Knees for Trocheck straight up, that'd be a great trade. Great trade. Now you got yourself a really good second line winger. He scored almost 30 goals last year, 40 goals.
Yeah.
I don't know if Toronto will do that, but they might because they have a mandate to win now and they want to be competing for Stanley Cup. Or if Trocheck would even go there. Would Montreal trade one of their couple of their young prospects for? Would he go there? Buffalo, would they trade in a Byron Bowen? Something like that. Detroit was an option, I think, because they were in on him at the deadline. But I don't know now that I don't think Trocheck does them much good once they trade Dylan Larkin, right?
Right.
Because I Trocheck is. I wouldn't at that point because, if you're going to trade Larkin, you're going to have to take a step back and, bringing in a player like Trocheck doesn't make sense, giving up assets for him. So, but there's always somebody out there you're not thinking of. Minnesota, unless they put Daniloff in, that ship has sailed. And they're trying to get Larkin. and I don't think that's going to happen. Though he's
Yeah,
on their
no.
list, I think. Right? No,
Oh,
was that the original list was Florida, of
oh,
course
yeah.
Vegas, and I think
Oh, yeah,
Minnesota, but
Vegas.
I don't think Minnesota has the assets to get him. Unless,
Yeah, yeah.
though maybe the goalie Wallenstedt, because they have two good young goalies, but Eisenman has he has a glut of goalies now.
Right. Right.
So I don't know. I don't think the Rangers are going to get what everybody thinks they're going to get from him. So now the
Yeah, yeah.
expectations are so high. No matter what Drury does, it's not going to be good enough.
Yeah, he was the number one guy out there, and now with Dylan Larkin, Larkin became the number one guy to
Dylan
be had.
Larkin, I've read, since he's been requested a trade, I've even heard the word great used about him. The guy scores 30 goals a year. He's done it for 5 straight years. You know what that is? It's a good number 2 center, 70, 80 points. He's not.
Yeah,
He's a bona fide top center, two-way player because of the analytics. There's an example of the analytics not really describing the player. Dylan Larkin's a nice player, right? On a good team with a really good number 1 center, like Vegas or Florida, he's a good player. But he's not a a top-notch number 1 center, right? He's a great
right.
number 2 center, not a number 1 center. The analytics guys will tell you he is, but you know what? There's certain things that they tell you that he's not. His production tells you that. But counting stats don't matter, Looch. With these guys, you can score 0 points, but if you had great GFX and GAC and whatever that is, then you're great. Yeah, he never scored a goal in his life, but he had great, zone entry numbers. So,
Sure.
we got to trade for him.
Let's dive into the Stanley Cup right now, and
Yeah, baby, let's do it.
the Vegas and the Hurricanes.
Tort's getting a little feisty with the media.
It's definitely a good series. I like it. I mean, I'm kind of hoping it goes 7 games. We get a Vegas Golden Knights win tonight. Game's at 8:00, and that'll be in Vegas, and then they go back to Carolina for Game 7. I'm kind of hoping that the Vegas Golden Knights get a win tonight. And it goes 7.
Well, traditionally, a team playing at home as good as Vegas, with their back against the wall, would win and force a Game 7. But if we learned anything that's predictable about the NHL over the last few years, it's that it's unpredictable. Right?
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah. I want to see a game. You always want to see a Game 7. You always want a series to go on. I don't want Carolina to win. It's going to irritate the shit out of me.
Right.
And I love Torts. I wanted Torts to win. But listen, no goalie equals no chance. I said that my whole life. You don't have a goalie, you don't have a chance. And Carter Hart has been awful. Let's be honest, he's been awful.
Yeah.
And the defense was first. That's him. Whatever. What surprised me about Vegas is the lack of poise, the lack of discipline, the not being good defensively, letting guys go free. The bad penalties. They've taken so many bad penalties. The other night was in Game 5 when Carolina scored that first goal. Was it 2 or 3 penalties they had back to back? I think it was 3, and they killed off the first 2, and they got another one, and then they scored.
Right.
You can't keep doing that in a big game. The other day when they allowed Carolina to come back and tie it when it was 4-0, was it 4? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Taylor Hall's goal. Mark Stone was right there in front of the net, and he's supposed to be a Selke Trophy candidate. He didn't pick him up. He let him right there, boom, scored. I'm like,
yeah,
that's not Vegas. Hopefully, Torts will clean that stuff up. And he's been adamant, made it clear, and even announced that Hart's his guy. He's going with him tonight.
Right. Yeah. Hey, he's giving him a shot and seeing what he can do and go from there. I mean,
I'm not a believer in making drastic moves to change your goalie like that.
Right.
Unless you have a real good reason to,
Right.
And then put the other guy in. You go with the guy who got you there, and he's let him play himself out of it. If he doesn't, he doesn't. But I don't. like making changes like that. Yeah, there's got to be a significant reason. Well, maybe 5 goals a game for 4 goals a game is a significant reason. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He hasn't wavered on him. He believes in him. Wouldn't even entertain the question. Got feisty with apparently he's a Ranger podcaster or something, or that's just stupid. You heard that. You saw the press conference, right?
I No, I didn't actually.
Well, he was asked, did you after Game 5, did you consider pulling Carter Hart at any point? And he said, that's a stupid question. I'm not even going to answer it.
I think I did see that.
I love Torts.
Yeah,
And listen,
yeah.
it wasn't a stupid question. It was a legitimate question. Torts knows that, but he had that reaction because he wants to build up Carter Hart's, confidence. He wanted to be adamant, so there's no speculation. And
Yep.
it wasn't a stupid. It's the right question. And by the way, people, he was thinking about it. Don't kid yourself. He didn't make the move, but so it wasn't a stupid question. It's just Torts being Torts,
Yeah. And the 2 games that they won, they only won by 1 goal. Vegas. The first game was a 5-4 game, and then the third game was a 5-4 game too. So.
And they were outplayed in the first game.
Yeah.
For most of the game, they were outplayed a lot in the second game and the third game. Like they've been outplayed in this series. There's no way around it.
Oh,
and
without
George
a
Souls
doubt.
decided to turn himself into, a term and be Sidney Crosby, his old running mate in Pittsburgh. 5 goals, 5 straight games with a goal. He didn't have 5 goals all year. But you need that. But then tonight, so he stepped up. But who's stepping up for, Vegas? Yeah, the Russian kid. I can't say.
Dorofeyev. Pavel Dorofeyev.
Dorofeyev, yeah. So he scored 2 goals the last game, but what has he done before that? Nothing.
Right.
Where's Eichel? Eichel's got 20 assists, but no goals. Where's well, Stone's had a couple of goals. Can't criticize him.
Yeah,
Hurdle's
Stone's
been
been played okay.
But, where's Riley Smith?
Right.
Where's I don't know who else I'm thinking about that.
Barbashev, you got Hurdle. Hurdle played decent in some of the games.
He's played well.
Let me go. I'm going through the roster real quick. Braden McNabb, who's got hurt in that one game. That was a pretty nasty injury. McNabb, and then he comes back. He gets 20 or 25 stitches, or 25 or 30 stitches, and then comes back with a.
I thought it was 85 stitches. No.
Oh, I don't know. No, I thought it was 25 or 30. Maybe
his face looked like a baseball.
Yeah, it took an 85 mile per hour shot. They said that's where you're getting the 85 from, I think. But he had
right
the cage
back on the ice with no shield, probably, right?
They did a beautiful job on his face too. That we had it. The shield must have hit the shield, the puck, and then the shield hit his nose. I would think, or maybe the puck hit his nose with.
No, that puck for some reason. The puck cuts you for some reason. Well, maybe because it's driving 85 miles an hour.
Right.
He does he wear a shield?
I think he was
around
wearing
a long time.
I think he wore a shield. I think he was wearing a shield. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but it looked like it was like in a circle, so it looked like the puck on his nose. But he had all the stitches, and they did a hell of a job. I mean, geez, he didn't even look like he was really bruised up. You thought he would have had come out with 2 black eyes, and he looked like he was just the stitches and had the face mask on, and he looked like he was ready to go.
I'd be in the hospital.
Jeez, these guys, nothing like. Well, now I can say, I don't know about basketball players because I can't mock basketball players the way that series went, but like the soccer players, like they get kicked in the leg and they're down and rolling on the ground and they're trying to get the green cards or the yellow cards, whatever the hell they give out in the soccer. But
when anybody gets hurt like that in hockey, you'd be rest assured all the memes come up comparing them to soccer players and basketball players and baseball players.
Yeah. Especially during the playoffs. Yeah, I mean, the way hockey players during playoffs, they're like, their fingers are hanging off or something, and they're still getting out there and playing, or cutting a tendon in their leg, and they're still skating off the ice, whatever it is.
Guys are playing with broken bones.
Yeah.
Find out Brian Leach in the '94 playoffs had to have his shoulder frozen before every game, couldn't lift his arm. Like past this, he played one of the Conn Smythe. I mean, it's just a different breed.
Right, 100%. I know you wanted to. We have to mention that Vegas and Carolina's tonight. 8 o'clock, Game 6, and then if Carolina wins tonight, it's all over. But if Vegas happens to pull it off, we get to see another game. That's going to be on Wednesday night. So we're going to have to shift our, if we do go to a Game 7, more than likely we'll end up on Thursday night. We'll do the show on Thursday night, and then we'll wrap up the season.
Do a recap, yeah.
Yeah, do a recap of the playoffs, the Stanley Cup. Hopefully maybe we'll get a guest or two on that night, and we'll do a little bit longer show. We'll try to do a couple shows for the upcoming draft. I know you wanted to talk about Edmonton, Babcock. Yeah.
Go
ahead.
I've probably said this on the podcast, a few times. I don't have very many absolute in life, right? Very few things are black and white. Very few things are certain. Things are, colored to a different situation depending who you are, whatever. Not everything's the same. But there's a few I have. One of them is, once you're an asshole, you're always an asshole, okay? So, Edmonton, right, wanted to sign Mike Babcock, right, to be coach. Why? The guy, we know, listen, all my years following hockey, I have never seen a coach talked about the way he was by his former players. It's usually they keep that stuff in-house. I mean, it was story after story after story what he did. And then he's coaching, Columbus. We know what he did to Mitch Marner, right, when he was a rookie. Had him list, who he thought is the hardest working guys on the team in the least, and then posted it for the whole team to see. Well, it turns out he didn't want to draft Marner. He was pissed when they drafted him. That's why he did that. And what he did to Mike Modano, knowing, he claims, I didn't know. He's lying. He benched, he didn't play him in the last couple of games, so he couldn't get to 1,500 career games. That's just being a dick,
Yeah.
And so he gets fired. Oh, I changed. He goes, Columbus, nothing's changed. Didn't even make the start of the season, right? So now, Edmonton, that's going to be it's going to be different for you, right? Because he's an asshole. He's going to be an asshole for you. And by the way, if you're hiring a guy who's going to change, why are you hiring the guy?
Yeah.
Right. So, whatever. He was an effective coach. He's a brilliant hockey mind, from what I heard. My future son-in-law, when he was at UVM, he came and worked with them for a while after he got fired from Columbus because he's friends with Woodcroft. Said good things about him. He learned a few things. But so once an asshole, always an asshole. Mike Babcock is an asshole, and you're playing with fire, okay? And that proved my point. It's probably not going to happen now because, right? So apparently it's come out when he was in Columbus, when he quit or got fired, right? He was forced to resign. He decided to. Here's the thing that he got all the attention that they thought he got fired for. Asking the players if they could look through their phones. Apparently, there was a couple of things far worse than that, right? That the NHL was going to investigate, but he said, "Listen, I'm going to retire. We don't have to. I don't go through this. I'm done. Whatever." So they didn't investigate him. Now that he's coming back. The NHLPA wants him to investigate. He's not available until the investigation's over. And it's coming out that there was even things far worse. So they're probably going to back off on him. And now it's just become a complete embarrassment for them. And rightfully so. But that's what they deserve for trying to hire that guy. Jeez.
Right.
And what, you know what? The other thing is they're desperate. They're panicking over the whole McDavid thing. They're panicking.
Yeah.
And I get it. Listen, nobody wants to lose that guy. I get it. I get the stress of it. But if you panic and you make bad decisions, you're gonna make it certain that he leaves, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
So they finally might have done something smart. Supposedly, there's a deal worked out with Detroit. So Detroit has a couple of good young goalies. One of them, Sebastian Casa, was a first-round pick, highly thought of, but he's been stuck in the minors with Detroit. Because they have Gibson and they have another highly touted prospect doing real, and they got others behind that. So he's going to be out of options come training camp. So they either have to carry him on the team or put him through waivers, which he'll get taken. So it's better now to trade him. And supposedly there's a deal worked out with Edmonton. So Edmonton might finally have their goalie.
Yeah. Wow.
Finally.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I got to say about Edmonton. Just ugh,
And
it's
we're already
it's an
talking about.
embarrassment.
I think I saw something about Darnell Nurse being traded to out of Edmonton.
Yeah, so Darnell Nurse did the you can't
Defenseman.
fire me because I quit, right? Because
Right.
they've been wanting to trade him for 2 years. They had planned on sitting him down and asking him to waive his no move clause, but he did it for them. Um, they'll be able to trade him, but they're gonna have to eat salary. He makes 9 million a year. He's never worth that. So they'll have to eat 4.5 million. They'll be able to trade him. Then they got to replace him. But he's been awful at times. Um, yeah, so they're getting older though. Ekholm's getting
Yeah.
up there. Well, Bouchard and the Draisaitl and McDavid are still young. So Zach Hyman, but you know they the windows. The window's not going to close as long as you have McDavid and Draisaitl, but it's
Right.
it's it's going to be locked for a little bit if they don't make some good moves because they've done some dumb. The Jarry trade was abominable by Bowman. Among others, signing Trent Frederick to an 8-year, 3 million a year contract. I mean, I know he was good for them, but geez, and he scored 2 goals last year.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
they better get their
Well,
shit together.
yeah. Or McDavid's gonna hit the road. You know.
Headed to Montreal. That's my prediction. Or
Oh
Vegas,
yeah.
because
All
everybody
right.
goes to Vegas.
We'll note that on this podcast, and when it happens, we're gonna play it back, man. You know.
Now, you know, Vegas is a good possibility because everybody goes to Vegas, right?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah. I'm sure
Florida.
everybody wants to go through Vegas and play there. Who wouldn't want to in that market and that team?
Yeah,
They're
no
always
state
going
income
to.
tax. They're good every year. You know,
Yeah.
um,
Jeez.
he won't go to Florida just because they beat him twice. But you know, apparently Florida's already made an offer for Dylan Larkin. Apparently,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
so
I. s-
listen, on a team like that, settling in behind Barkov and with some of the other guys they got, that's not a bad place for him. You know,
No.
It'd
I
be
agree.
productive. But they're gonna have to trade Anton Frendel for him, and or Lundell. Frendel's the Blackhawks draft pick. Lundell, who they are hired, is a very good player. So he's gonna have to be part of the deal. We'll see.
All right. Uh, I guess we're to the point. You want to wrap it up? I think we're getting close to Stanley Cup Game 6 game time. We will be back next week. Look for us on Thursday night at 8 o'clock. If something changes, we will give a shout out, and we're going to try to get at least one of our top guests that we're looking for. We want to kind of end the NHL season on a high note, and if we get one or two of these, I don't care. Maybe we'll get both of them. I'm going to reach out to both of them again. I know both guys have been busy. One's a younger kid, one's an NHL guy. I've reached out to both of them a couple times. I've gotten some good responses back from them, but then all of a sudden they're ghosting me now. I think just a lot going on.
Draft,
Uh,
baby.
I,
It's the draft
I
time.
know I know one is traveling in Canada. The other one was in another location, and we're not going to give too much out. I don't want to give too much away because I want these guests to be come through.
Surprise,
And
especially if we don't get them.
yeah, if we exactly. But
We'll
hopefully
get
I
them.
can.
If not, there we'll have some other guests on, Pete.
Yeah,
So,
no, I'm texting them. So the next thing I'm doing is picking up the phone and making an old time phone call instead of sending out a text, and see if they pick up the phone. Then they can't skate on me and not. The one guy said he wasn't getting my text. It went to because of his phone. He said he didn't get my first text, and he got back to me like 3 days later and said, "Sorry, Anthony, I didn't see your text because it went to, whatever, a spam folder on his phone." So, and he finally saw it and got back to me. So I was like, "Oh, all right, great." I reached out to him. He says, "I'm going to call you, when I get back from being away." And that was a couple weeks ago. He said he was going to be gone for a couple weeks, and we're kind of towards the end of that. So hopefully I can lock him in for next week. It would be perfect for the end of the season. Either player, either guy. So keeping our fingers crossed. They'll be good guests. So
Right.
next week we'll chat during the week. Any last parting words do you want to say, or you have
Go
anything you want to
Vegas.
go Vegas? Yes, tonight we want to see Vegas win tonight. Get this bad boy to a game 7. Like
Oh yeah, go New York, go New York, go, go New York.
yeah,
It's fucking Nick. It was kind of surreal. I said to my wife last night. First of all, my friend Herbie, we were texting last night. He's like, "This is surreal," you know. And I said to my wife, I was like, it's weird feeling, because the Knicks have been so bad for so long, and the '90s they just can never get over the hump, and it's the first time in my life they've won a championship, so maybe that's why. But it just felt weird. But good for them. Good for the. They're, by the way, they're a bunch. They're an easy team to root for. I really like
right.
those guys.
Well, I do too.
I love their press conferences. Ian O'Connor, um, who's been a longtime columnist in the city, writes for the Athletic, said in his column, after last night's game that in the 40 years he's been doing this and covering sports, they're the most likable bunch of any team he's ever covered, or like that. They're very likable. So, I mean, they're
And,
funny. Their press conferences with Hart and Brunson and they're
and,
easy to root for. So, congratulations, Nick
right,
fans.
right. And Jalen Brunson is a New Jersey guy, right? He was in lived in East Brunswick, I think somebody
Who?
said, and Brunson, Jalen Brunson.
Brunson? No, he played high school in Chicago. You're thinking of Cat, Carl Anthony Towns, who grew up
Oh,
in
okay.
Piscataway, went to St. Joseph's of Metuchen. So
Oh,
right near
right.
me.
Okay. No, somebody went to Villanova too. Is that?
Oh well,
Is that
all three of them
Brunson?
did. Hart, Brunson, and Bridges played in Villanova together. In fact,
Uh,
Hart and Brunson are best friends, and they give each other a hard time all the time. And so
uh,
last week at a press conference, one of the writers asked, "So you guys, you won multiple national titles at Villanova," and Brunson said, "No, let's state for the record here. Me and Bridges, we won 2. He only won 1." So,
uh,
but yeah,
what-
so there's those three. Towns is from Piscataway. Alvarado is from Queens. Queens, born and raised. Big Knick fan growing up. So a little local flavor.
yeah, and then they got to have a parade in New York, right? I didn't hear anything about a
Thursday.
parade. Thursday. Oh
Yeah,
wow, that
Thursday.
place is going to be hopping. Oh geez, the New York's finest is going to have their hands full.
They've had a rough couple days, by the way.
Whew. Yeah,
Yeah, they,
sure. Oh yeah. With all the stuff going on after the games you're talking about, yeah.
one cop was quoted in the post I read. In my 10 years as a cop, I've never worn my riot gear till tonight. They've had a
Wow.
rough time handling some of those people, but they've done a great job as always. They
Right.
kept it under control. No riots like in other cities, right? New York
Right.
City's never done that. Knock on wood, they never will. And yeah, the parade will be on Thursday.
Yeah. Shout out to the New York's finest, the New York police, without a doubt. Give them credit for dealing with what they got to deal with there, and hopefully they can keep the peace. I don't think it'll get rowdy during the parade. I think it'll be more of a celebration. And I know when I was there with the Rangers in '94, not that I was with the Rangers, but I was there when the Rangers won.
Right.
And they had the police were on horses, and they had it. I
Well,
mean,
you
they've been
also
through it.
you got
They
to
know
take
how to
this.
handle the crowds.
You got to take this into account. Um, at night after a game, a lot of people will liquor it up. At 10 in
Right.
the morning for a parade, they're not going to be liquored up. So that
Yep.
makes a difference.
Yep. I agree.
It's also a
100%.
festive atmosphere. So
Yeah, you get the confetti coming off the buildings. I remember the confetti coming off the tops of the buildings. People are throwing stuff out confetti out the windows, and just that whole parade, that '94 parade, I'll never forget. We were pretty close to the guys coming by. I got a lot of great pictures somewhere up in my attic from that parade. I'd love to have to bring them down, but I don't know. I might wait until the Rangers are close to a Stanley Cup win and then
if I
chuck them
remember, I'll
up.
bring on my picture next time of me with the cup.
Oh yeah, nice. So you were able to hold it,
Oh yeah,
hold the
in the
cup.
locker room.
Yeah,
I was in the
Oh,
locker room.
wow. Oh, nice. Nice. Where
Yeah,
where
you could
at?
see in the background the whiteboard where they were writing.
Oh,
It
in
was 2 days
94?
after they. What's that?
Go ahead. In 94, you were in the locker room with the cup?
Yes, that's when I ran the restaurants at the Garden, and I became friends with a lot of the executives, but also the cops
Nice.
that were around the Garden, who their regular beat. We used to feed them all the time, and they became friends of mine. And one of them was up taking pictures in the locker room, and he came down. Came down in the elevator and said, "Jeff, come on, the cup's up in the locker room. Let's go." And I went
Ah,
up, and I was
nice.
there. Got to hold it, got to read the names. It was
Ah,
great. It was
that's
great.
great.
Keenan was there, but he was in his office. But the players weren't there. Like I said, it was 2 days afterwards. So it was
Nice.
great, wonderful.
I I got close to the cup. I didn't get to hold it, but I was this far away from it. That was when Anthony Stolars came. After they won, the Florida Panthers won. Stolars brought it over to Bar A in Belmar, and I got the heads up, so I ran down there. Me and my wife. I grabbed my wife and said, "Let's go." I heard the cup's coming to Belmar. It's going to be at Bar A. I ran over there, and I went on a Tuesday night, and unfortunately, it was I don't know. They do something on Tuesday night with the college kids where they keep the drinks. I think they were like 50-cent drinks, but then the drinks go up every half hour until they're like $7 a drink, so that the kids have to drink quick in the beginning. And I
Yeah.
was just
What
surrounded
could
by
possibly
like,
go wrong with that?
oh my God, it was crazy. And me and my wife, I'm the age I am, and with her, and I'm pulling her into this madness, and I'm seeing my daughter's friends there, and I'm like, I'm just here for the Stanley Cup and see Stolars, and give him a high five. And what's his name? Swain was there also.
Who?
Uh, Ryan Swain. And that's kind of where I got the
Swaney,
heads
yeah.
up.
Well, they're good. They're close friends.
Yes, yes. And
Swain was
Swain,
Swain was there for Game 7 when they won, and
right.
it was him and Jimmy Gill, another coach at the Titans, who coached my son. They're close friends with him, and they were in the locker room the whole bit, partied with him. Just
Yeah, yeah, good stuff. It's
yeah. We
always
should
nice to
go though
hear.
because the game's going to start. People are going to get mad at
Yes,
us.
yes. All right, we are out. So we
I'll
will.
talk to you tomorrow, Looch.
Yes, sounds good. All right, we are out. Have a good night,
Have a good night.
everybody. Thanks for joining us. See you
Always fun.
guys
Have a good night, brother.
too.